They Mean by Bent Knee. Hey, what can I say? Sometimes I just can't think of a good intro, so I'm just diving right into it on this one. Bent Knee is a fantastic crossover progressive rock band from the United States. Really love how different these guys are. They are very avant-garde, very art-focused. Calling them progressive rock is definitely, like, it suits their style. Testing the styles of what we can do with music. And this was found right through their inception, right into this album. This is their 5th studio release, following up Land Animal from 2017. My favorite album from them is actually Say So. It has my favorite song of theirs, which is Leak Water. That track just makes me melt. And so we come into You Know What They Mean. Very interesting kind of album title. Yeah, this album is fantastic. I want to get that right out of the way. It is friggin' amazing. And a part of that is like the different influences and the different kind of blendings that we have within it. In some ways, it's almost like water and oil, where the things aren't quite meshing all that well, but what's coming up is just a fantastic tapestry of like impressionistic music. It's almost coming into and towing the line of like noise rock, you know, something that, say, Swans or Scott Walker would produce, especially within some of the sounds that they're really playing around with. Starting off the album with Bone Rage, like Lansing being the first track, which is kind of like an interlude, and they have a few of these. Lansing and Lovell being almost like them practicing and starting things up, and it creates more of like an organic feel. Like it feels much more like they're in your living room. All their amplifiers are set to like 11 with a hell of a lot of distortion and overdrive on them, and they're here to just shake things up. And I feel like having these like little interludes and these little pieces sprinkled within the album feel as though it's much more like almost an intrusive thing. Not only are you intruding on them, but they're definitely intruding on you in the best kind of way. I do wish that when they did this a few times, that it flowed a little bit more. Between Lovell and Love Me Not, I feel like it does kind of skip a beat a little bit, like the recording either kind of ran out of tape and they had to like really quickly get it back on, but it does feel a little disjointed, which kind of removes me a little bit of that illusion that they were creating. Back to the album proper, Bone Rage starts off with such a powerhouse. Like it just like punches you right in the face, and like that's a tagline that you can use. This album punches you right in the face with Bone Rage, not only from that like first real oomph of that dun 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 dun, but also like when we actually get into the album, like the song proper at about a minute, where it's that chugging guitar work and like everything's chugging along that same time. And we almost have like this almost King Crimson sound within that, like chimes that are coming in within this. Like it's reminding me of almost like pseudo metal way back when, of like a Black Sabbath or even early Rush, like from their first album. In fact, it's almost like you know, Love Me Not, where it feels like they're starting off with Working Man from Rush. Those first couple of notes, that dur 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 dur, like that almost feels like they're about to touch it, but then it feels almost like a Black Sabbath with you know, Iron Man or something like that. One thing that these guys have down is the rhythm section. Hold Me In being a perfect example of this. That drumming work is so smooth and so like seamless. Like they're keeping a very complex rhythm style, but it feels so simple, and that is true brilliance, right? Like it's one thing to make a very simple time signature sound very complicated. It's another thing to make a very complicated time signature sound very easy. And I really love that, and that's definitely found within Hold Me In. And I almost love that like new wave hi-fi, lo-fi, chill tunes to listen to, like that kind of resurgence that we have within that kind of brings it in with Hold Me In. I really appreciate that kind of blending of styles, and it really, really works within this particular track. And it blends so well, and I think now is a really good time to gush about Courtney Swain's vocal work. Man, her voice is good. She can do so many different amazing things on the vocals. Like, I'm blown away. I'm simply blown away by the command that she's bringing in, the control that she has within her vocal works. She's able to belt it out within the first bit of Bone Rage and give us the gold, but then also really bring it in within Hold Me In, as well as Birdsong. Like, Birdsong is such a beautiful and small little track. I can't help but visualize like a crisp fall morning with a little bit of tea, and like having that like almost a lovebird or like a dove coming through and just kind of bringing us this little joy of a song. It's so unbelievably beautiful, which brings me into probably my favorite track off of the whole album, and one that it's one of those tracks that when I was listening to this album first, I had to stop the album and listen to this track 3 or 4 times, and that's Catch Light. I'm just going to take a moment to appreciate and bring honor to Catch Light. All right, are we doing? Such a good song. Such a good song, Catch Light. It reminds me very much of Leak Water, and I like how the two almost are like a pair of one another. Catch Light is one of those very, very special songs, and one that I will return to time and time and time again. The blending of sounds that we have on here, they touch a very essential part of human nature within this track that I can't help but like gush about. I love how they introduce the track, how they slowly build it up, and when we get to that final moments, it's just so big and so grand without being overdone or overblown or overstaying its welcome. And generally it is a shorter track within my particular love of music, at being only about 4.5 minutes, but what they're able to do within that 4.5 minutes is unprecedented. Like, I can't gush more about this track. Courtney's vocals on this track are, again, unbelievably haunting. It pierces right through any kind of defenses that I have and gets right into my core. Not only at the very beginning when she's very somber and very, not quite meek, but very intimate. And then by the end, and she's belting it out. And I love that little setup that they have, because you can see the ending being set up and somebody in the background is actually like counting us into that big play out. It's so organic in that way, and it's so very special. It's almost like they captured lightning in a bottle in that sense, and I can't help but love that. Yes, so good. So freaking good. And I also love the fact that even though Catch Light is so grand and so big, they were able to kind of give you a little bit of a breather within the next track of Garbage Shark. And a Garbage Shark is exactly what it sounds like. It feels like you're in like this really dark pool, and this shark is just kind of very slowly finding its way towards you. And it's haunting, it's frightening, it's like visceral. It's like, it freaked me out. And just like the sounds that they were producing on this, it's a great kind of next step after Catch Light. And I almost felt like Golden Hour, the second last track, was a little bit of an overstay, but I do love how they're able to build up this track and build up from about the midpoint of like that picking guitar and picking violin, and really bringing us into the final track of It Happens. And I will say that I felt like It Happens, I don't know, it was the final track, but I wanted more. Like, even though we've had just enough amount of music, like, I didn't want this album to be any longer than it is. I feel like it's a great length, but I just wish that It Happens ended on much more of a punctuation as opposed to like a ... like an ellipses. But yeah, overall this album was fantastic. It's probably Bentney's strongest album to date, at least like from start to finish, like for sure. There's no real duds on this album as well. There's no low point, definitely some major high points for sure. This was one that I kept coming back to, even though I pretty much had made up my mind about how much, like, what I felt within this album and how it kind of affected me. I still really wanted to spend some more time into it before I gave a full-length album review of it. And I'm glad that I did, because it really found a perfect place in my heart within this. So definitely love this album. And really, how can I not love this album with my whole heart? That's the rating. Friggin' love this album. This is one that I'm going to come back to for sure, because there's a lot of nooks and crannies that I really want to suss out. And this is a great fall album as well. It's one of those run, don't walk to go and listen to it. You're going to find something that you love it. And damn, I love this album. So yeah, that's about it for Bent Knees. You know what they mean. What did you guys think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, let me know by commenting down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.